Hey guys, today I have an annual Sebenza that I want to show you. The Sebenza, as you know, has been Chris Reeve's flagship model since its introduction in 1989. It started with the H Sebenzas, signifying handmade, which were quickly followed by the P Sebenzas in 1991, which were the beginning of the productions. After that came the original Sebenzas, a continuation of the Ps, then the regulars, then the classics, which led to the 21s, and on from there. From what I can discern in my research, the first Sebenzas produced by Chris resembled the Sebenza 21s we have today. And then in 1996, Chris redesigned the knife into the quote-unquote regular, with scalloped scales like this, a bullnose blade with a greater belly in it, like that, and a slightly different handle shape. As you can see, there's a little bit of a negative angle here instead of the straight handles like the 21s have. After that redesign, there was a great outcry from the knife world, and he brought back the traditional design in the classic, which then moved on to the 21. Very similar to what you're seeing with the Sebenza 25. A lot of people aren't really digging that so much. The knife in front of you here is an annual Sebenza based off of the regular, as I just showed you. And the way that an annual run worked was that from 1999 to 2011, Chris Reeve would do small runs of 60 large and 60 small Sebenzas using a premium inlay. Everything from redwood burl in 2003 and 2006 to mammoth ivory in 2005 through 2008. So for example, in 2002, they made annuals in California buckeye and desert ironwood. So there were 60 small and 60 large in both inlays from that year. They all had the year engraved on the scale, like that, 2003. The best that I can tell, that each run or each inlay would have 2 to 5 left-handed knives, which makes this knife exceptionally rare. Just a little bit of basic history. Chris Reeve used a number of blade steels in his knife making. A lot of the early fixed blades were A2 and some D2, but as far as folders goes, he started making knives. The H's and the P's were ATS 34, very similar to 154 CM. And then in 1996, they switched to BG 42. These knives are particularly desirable as it only lasted until 2002, so 96 to 2002. At which point Chris switched after working with Crucible to develop S30V. And then in 2011, he helped develop S35VN, and all of his knives transitioned from there. So as far as the annuals go, the first 3 years were BG 42, and then after that it was S30V, like this one here. A couple of the noticeable differences in the annual run. When I took this apart, it did not have perforated washers. It did, however, have the pivot bushing from the 21s. The standout obvious feature is the solid one-piece inlay on the show scale. This one here is snakewood. It also complements a traditional single inlay on the lock side, as you would find on the inlay 21s these days. The hardware is a little different. You can see it's polished on this side too, just a little fancier. And there's also a decorative element on the back here in that little chamfer. It's not carried around on the underside of the handle scales, it's just on the top. And then there is also, let's see. Oh, I'm not sure if this chamfer here is on all regulars or if it was just on the annuals. And lastly, you can see that the standoff there is anodized and grooved as opposed to just the regular circle rings that they would put over there. Usually they were anodized blue. So all in all, I think the annuals are a really cool example of what Chris Reeve could do. They're nice pieces to have in your collection. They were very limited, as I said before, only 60 of each size made per inlay a year. But they did include some extra little details that were really cool to see coming from Chris Reeve. Obviously, they've been discontinued for the last 4 years, but if you get the opportunity to snag one, I can't encourage you enough to do it. I have recently seen a couple sell on blade forums. They're not cheap, but they are out there. So if you see one, I would go ahead and snag it. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to show these to you, give you a little bit of history based on my research, and just kind of show you a little bit of what Chris Reeve Knives did in the past. Thanks, guys. See ya.